yours, or like almost done with yours, done maybe by the end of the period, I'll take them from you and we'll have something new in the showcase. Uh, but what I wanted to do today, since you guys are starting on your second independent project, is talk about what the College Board isn't telling you. So these are categories up here from the old rubric, what they were looking for in the portfolio before they changed the rules a little bit. So in the new rubric, they don't show you these categories, but that doesn't mean that they go away. Um, as a matter of fact, they always look for these sorts of things. So as you guys are starting your new independent project, if you look at the Google form that's there, I have these listed for you as something to start thinking about. But what I want to do as a group here, and I want to take less than a half hour doing this, but I want to get your thoughts on what you think these things mean as a class so that we can start shaping our thinking process around these categories. Now, you might not be able to do all of these things in one piece of artwork. However, at some point during the course of the year, we want to be thinking about all of these things. In addition to that, we want to think about what it means to do a good job on any one of these things, what okay might look like, what kind of words we can use to describe that, and what a poor job or a not so good job would be. Because that's sort of their old scoring format. They would say, okay, it's good, it's okay, or it's poor. And then they would subdivide that into like, it's really good, or it's okay, but it's almost good, or it's poor, but it's almost okay. And through that, they would start to get a score 1 through 6. And if you got solid 6s across everything, that was a perfect score. Um, Nowadays, there'll be other things that we look for, and we'll talk about those too. But as a starting point, I think looking at these and having you guys start to think about them will help you no matter what is on the new rubric. We know what's on the new rubric. You can find it on the website if you want, but I'm going to hold off on that until a little bit later because a lot of it is kind of stuff that will develop as opposed to stuff that you start off thinking about. But these sorts of things we can start thinking about right now. So the first one, you don't necessarily have to raise your hand. I'm going to throw my mask on so that I'll type for you guys, which will be a joke because I'm so bad at typing, but we'll give it a go. But I want to hear what you think they mean when they say good composition. What pops to mind? And then we'll move on to the next one. What's a composition? The organization within, in a 2D format, the picture plane, which is the picture, okay? Or in a 3D format, how things are stacked, let's say, their position in relationship to one another. So what would be good composition? How do you know a good composition when you see one? Okay, the proportions are important there. What about those proportions? Let's go the opposite. What's a bad composition? Can anybody think of a bad composition or way to describe a bad composition? Go ahead, Joe. Okay, so let's say all over the place. So maybe lacking thought. Told you this would be funny. Lacking thought. What do most people do when they start a drawing? Where's the first? Oh, shoot. I got to keep typing right in that box, don't I? Nope. Gonna have to learn how to slide lines over and things like that. Ah. What if I just start typing? Oh. Well, let me do that. Oh my gosh. Like I said, this will be funny. Maybe I should just write it on the board. Where do most people start when they started drawing? In the center, right? Centered. Lacking thought. What would the opposite be then? Go ahead, Lauren. Ah, rule of thirds. Excellent. Another one. Give you a hint. If you look behind you on the wall, there are posters. Say again? Yeah, principle of follows principles of design. So maybe you start and you think, okay, I'm just going to draw this really well. Right in the middle, red flag, right? Get out of the middle, start thinking about contrast, movement, balance, pattern. We'll fill those in. But those are the sorts of things that they're going to be looking for. Is this thoughtfully put together? Is it carelessly or put together with no thought for the outside structure, the picture plane itself? Or are you trying to arrange things? And we'll put one up here right away, balanced. Okay? Now, some of the principles of design are harder to achieve than other ones, but we'll subdivide those at another point. But starting to think about those principles of design. And then okay would be somewhere in the middle, right? There's some balance there, but it's not all balanced. If you look at your piece and most of it works, but some parts don't feel like they belong or they feel ignored, then that's okay. Okay? It's not great, but it's not not bad either. So somewhat balanced, we might say. All right, let's move over to intentionality. What does that mean to you guys? Go ahead, Sid. So some of this is going to have overlap, right? So yeah, thought out. What are other words you can use? Go ahead, Lauren. Everything has a place. That kind of goes back to our composition, but yes, like it's it's organized. Go ahead. Okay, so meaning could be something that we could start to work in here, but I'm looking for some words that describe intentionality. Like how do we know when something has been done intentionally, even if it's not relating to art, maybe? Harry. Clear. I like that. Clarity. What were you going to say, Abby? You can has a purpose. Okay, let's put that down. Has a purpose. What about a word like deliberate? Did I spell deliberate? What about poor intentionality? Then what would the opposite be? Unclear. Yeah. It lacks intentionality, right? It would be like, oh, I don't know what this person is going for. Other words for lacking intentionality. Lacks a purpose. So maybe we start to work that meaning thing in here, like meaning is unclear. What about in the middle? Go ahead, Paige.
Somewhat clear.
Yeah, we could use the word somewhat a bunch here, right? Somewhat clear. But we want the person to be doing things in their piece with some sense of purpose, some deliberate nature. Okay? And a lot of times when I think about that kind of approach, I would go up here and say confident. You ever seen a piece where it looks like the person didn't care what you thought about it and just would been like, "Ooh, good," like they're doing it and they're going for it. Or have you ever seen somebody on stage and they look nervous while they're delivering their lines? And it's like they lack that confidence to totally get in character. It's the same with art making. We have to go for it. We have to have the courage to be deliberate and intentional with things. All right, we're moving over to risk taking. How do you see risk taking? Go ahead, you can just yell them out.
Challenging yourself.
Challenging yourself, great. Love that. What else? Go ahead, Paige.
Trying different things that's not
Willing to try. Good. What if you try something and it doesn't work out that great? Is that good risk taking or is that not good risk taking? Like I said, you can just yell it out so that we go quicker. I'll listen. That's good risk taking if it doesn't work out well. It is good risk taking. However, when you send that portfolio off and it looks like a mess, it's all over the place. They're gonna say that it's okay risk taking, right? So maybe up here we add something like risk taking with positive results. And then here, risk taking with inconsistent might be a word. Results. Like you tried something and it's good that you tried it, but it didn't work out exactly the way that you were hoping, or it didn't work out very well at all, but clearly did something. Like you set your piece of paper on fire, but all you have left is a pile of ash. It's like, oh, that was good risk taking, but there's not much left to look at. What's poor risk taking? Not risk taking. All right, let's think of other words that might describe it. Go ahead, Eric. Planned, safe. What else? Oh, yes. Good word. Common. Seen it before. Okay? Doesn't have that personal voice to it. All right, which is a good way to lead us here to originality. Unique. Love it. Uniques. What else? Different. One of a kind. Love it. And I'm going to add personal. We've always, in the arts, enjoyed seeing people's own perspective on things, not everyone else's perspective on things, although it could fit into a category that other people share, but your personal voice is very important to them. They don't want everybody's drawings to look the same. They don't want everybody's photographs to look the same. They want it to come from you and there to be something that makes it yours that they can identify just by looking at it. All right, what would poor originality be? Copied. Excellent. This is an easy one, right? Copied. I saw it before. What about in the middle? A little bit louder for me. Somewhat. We'll use that word again. Or somewhat personal. So you saw something in Pinterest and then you decided to do something like it, but you made it your own. That's okay. That's good. It's almost good. Like they're starting to see something from you, but it's something that they're kind of familiar with already. Other words for originality. Okay, viewer engagement. I'm going to have to make this look prettier here, but maybe one of you can help me with that. What is viewer engagement? Go ahead, Joe. Pulls you in. That's great. Great, 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 great. Pulls you in. What else? Go ahead. Makes you think. Love it. Now, when I'm thinking and when I'm being pulled in, do I have to like it? No, exactly. It could even be something that's shocking, makes you look, but you're not completely comfortable with what you're looking at. Like, ooh, oh, I, I don't like this, but I can't look away, right? You're holding their attention. So what would the opposite of that be? Boring, great. We want to stay away from boring. You don't have to be shocking to have good viewer engagement, but you could. It could be something that's like risky because of the subject matter or the way you're presenting things. Paige. Blends in. And what about in the middle? So if we're holding someone's attention or we're boring somebody, what's in the middle? There. Okay. Danny, then Paige. Holding your attention for a few seconds. What were you saying, Paige? Doesn't make you think. I'm going to put that in. That's good. You think. And you can see there's lots of things that we can write for some of these categories. So we can keep coming back to this and adding to it. But last one, and then I'm just going to let you work and maybe try to make this look a little bit better. Craftsmanship. Now, your last project was all about craftsmanship, right? Trying to make this thing look round. Everybody's drawing kind of looks the same. So it's a good part of what we're doing here is to build skills, try to hone our craft, try new materials, but it's not the only thing. Okay? So I'm never gonna, well, I'm not never, I'm not gonna only throw still lives in front of you and watch your skills grow. We're gonna alternate back and forth between skills and craftsmanship and thoughtfulness, risk taking, composition, intentionality, trying to challenge you in both ways. Well, what does good craftsmanship look like to you guys? How do you know it when you see it? Clean, like that. Does it have to be clean? No. If the person is being messy with their brush strokes, but they're doing it intentionally, is that good craftsmanship? So one word that we use a lot, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here, appropriate craft. So it sort of depends on what you're going for, but that you're getting there. You're doing it with, again, confidence. Some of these things overlap each other. So these words are things we want to keep pounding into our head, like be confident, be intentional, plan, okay? But take a risk. Oh my gosh, I got to do all those things? Yes. Do you have to do them all in one piece of artwork? No. But somewhere in our portfolio, when we look at it, we're like, getting close to May. Looks like everything is really safe. Time to take some risks, you know? Looks like we got to work on our craft a little bit, you know, or we got to work on our organization. Everything's in the middle of your page. We got to get out of the middle of the page and start using the rule of thirds and composing. What's poor craftsmanship? Sloppy. Could sloppy be good though? Yeah, this is a little bit harder. Okay, so again, maybe the thoughtfulness or lack of thoughtfulness. And one thing that I put up sometimes that it can be poor, but it could be okay or good, you know, is when things look abandoned, trying, but not really seeing things all the way through to the end, because how we finish is sometimes more important. It's easy to start a new thing. Sometimes it's harder to figure out how to fix that drawing that's almost there, but not quite there. So we're trying to avoid abandoning our artwork. So that's just a beginning, okay, in terms of thinking what they're looking for. And again, this is not listed on their website anymore, okay? This was everything 2 years ago, but it's still something. And 90%, I would say, of the people who were grading this 2 years ago are still grading it. They're getting used to the new rubric, but they haven't forgotten the old rubric. So we have to keep all these things in mind. Any last thoughts? Like, now that we're past intentionality, Mr. Walter, I got the perfect word for intentionality. Or now I have a great way of describing risk taking. All right, I'm going to stop this recording, but we don't stop thinking about it. And as you think about it, you can come tell me, hey, can we throw this on that rubric? And then we will. And we'll look at what other people in the other class think about this rubric as well. So I'm anxious to see your chiaroscuro.